See violet vortexes lashing an ocean with a million flails, and umber shadows spinning over the surface in a fiery dance, a storm rising above foaming waters. Armadas drowning in fog, the path from one end to another cannot be seen. And here, beyond the wall of glass, a daughter forsaken by her father yearns for her brother, and the sun's pale disk goes in tireless pursuit of her. No, of me. Its frozen rays lie that spring is here, the light is deadened, the great ruler is gone.
You don't have to call yourself a fat kid though, Ice. I mean, I'm not. I don't know. I'm mildly. I have a
The Vox Master recoils at Cassie's words
metabolism.
and
That's
accidentally snaps
my
one of the
benefit
cogitator
is.
levers. The panel beneath her fingers emits sparks, and the Voxcaster falls silent. She quickly flips a series of switches and bores guiltily. My abject apologies for cutting off the broadcast. Lord Captain, I have never heard the warp speaking through a navigator before. The connection is restored now. It will not happen again. Soul-shredding screams drown out the Vox transmission. The servants in the Sanctum Navis are howling and shrieking like wild beasts, moaning in pain, their throats
It's
raw
not
from the strain.
diarrhea, Pug.
And then,
Come on, man.
sudden silence. The dull thud of dropping bodies proclaims their fate. It appears the servants were part of the Lady Navigator's rite, as it was for her predecessor. I will arrange for the bodies to be removed from the Sanctum Navis after the ritual, or what is left of them.
So she has to kill people to...
Rogue trader, I fear I have unfortunate news. Endless blackness has spread across the canvas, dividing what should be whole in two, and my sight cannot glimpse the light of the Emperor as clearly as before. I cannot turn around, my brush only draws me onward. The way is blocked. You hear a heavy exhale, rustling fabric, and metallic clicking. By the Emperor's grace, the ritual was successful.
Okay.
Your vessel's temperament presented a challenge. Its cold steel grip did not allow me to breathe freely even for a second. It was as if the depths of the ship housed not only machine spirits, but something other. Now I will retreat to my chambers to recover my strength. Send for me if you have need of me. Lord Captain, congratulations on acquiring a navigator. Spare me a few moments of your time, please. There are several matters that require your attention. First of all, I want to report on the condition of the station, Uric V. Had you opted to begin your visit to the Rykard system with a different destination, the station could have become critically unstable. Fortunately, the decision to immediately visit the representatives of Navis Nobilite bought us precious time. We can either send our forces to disassemble the station and procure technological components for our own vessel, or attempt to save as many valuables as we can.
So we're not going to pillage.
As you command, Lord Captain. With your permission, I would also like to remind you that we are still looking for an Engineer Prime. Both the vessel and its machine spirits are in desperate need of oversight by an experienced tech priest. We are also missing some crew, and, much more importantly, we have not yet located Heinrichs van Kallax, the right hand of the Lord Inquisitor. Now we know for sure he was not at Uric V, so keep this in mind when making any future plans. As it pleases you, Lord Captain.
So I think we have to go here next.
Lord Captain, there is some commotion on the officer's deck. The Lady Navigator has left her quarters and is currently in the wardroom, where uninitiated crew members are shunning her in terror. Perhaps you should find out what has brought Cassia to the deck.
What the hell? I mean, whatever makes you feel comfortable, Ice. I just don't want you to feel like that anyone's mocking you for, like, every kind of body is natural, man.
Lord Captain, my apologies. I did not notice your entrance.
Point at the book in Cassia's hands. I see you are fond of reading.
Oh, this. I found this fascinating read on one of the shelves, and I must say, it has caught my eye. Its every chapter is written in verse. I find it so beautiful and enrapturing.
I just want you to be
York
happy,
5
Ice.
had a vast archive of its own, of course. Although most of the works within had to do with scholarly disciplines of some sort or another. Only in my sparse moments of respite was I allowed to escape into the pages of more embellished works.
Your only attendant is your valet from York 5. Do my servants not measure up to your standard? And I'm going to say this. The events that took place in York 5 must have shaken you greatly. Are you well?
One should not underestimate the navigators of House Orselio, Lord Captain. Like a shawl of pale smoke, a faint malaise hangs upon my shoulders, but it will not be the slightest hindrance to my duty to humanity, and my duty to you.
Okay, I already said that before.
No, it is not that at all, Lord Captain. It is just that Uwe is quite capable of carrying out his duties by himself. He is
She's
well
like
accustomed
white,
to
man.
my whims and preferences.
Cassie cringes ever so slightly, adjusts the adornment on her forehead, then awkwardly hides her clawed fingers in the folds of her clothes. The unnatural appearance of navigators often becomes the topic of gossip among lowly servants and officers alike. It is unsurprising, then, that Cassie prefers the company of one who is used to how she looks.
I hope you've had ample time to calm yourself in your powers.
There are people on this ship who are far more impulsive and dangerous to others, and far less devoted to the God Emperor than a herald of the Navis nobility. But I did not need your words to see the shades of umber unease that whirl around your subjects whenever I am near. Were I not acquainted with such a reaction, I could have found their behavior and your question just now insulting. Lord Captain, would you kindly explain to me why you are pestering me with these questions? Inquiring about my mood and my needs, showing an interest in the books I am enjoying. You are behaving as if you possessed a shred of fellow feeling for one such as I. I beg your pardon, Lord Captain. That was no way for a navigator to conduct herself.
Right here? Oh. Yep. I'm not trying to smash you, creepo. She's like supposed to be a kid. You have nothing to apologize for. Human emotions are natural, be they good or bad. It is just natural to share them with others.
Please forgive me. I cannot even understand myself right now. Your words and attention have reminded me of life on the station. Of Theobald and Felek. I do not understand. They were merely the keepers of Urak 5. So why do memories of those two make me feel a strange heaviness here?
Her heart.
At the same time, I find myself overwhelmed with new excitement and anticipation. At last, I have set foot outside my familiar walls and into a world that I have only seen before in the pages of books. Your ship alone is a treasure trove of remarkable artifacts and curiosities. And just imagine the things that
you just gotta be yourself, right, Ice?
My delight must seem childish to you, surely. In your heart, you must be finding all this quite amusing.
I understand what you're going through. My own life turned upside down not too long ago.
Indeed. I did not know. That is to say, I could not have known, as it is the first time we are speaking in a circumstance so private. My word, when I found this place, it was so full of officers. Why did they all leave?
If I may be so bold as to presume, my subjects may have found themselves overcome by your rare beauty, as I have.
Words like that, Lord Captain, could easily be misconstrued. You should familiarize yourself with some of the works in your library to learn the appropriate manner of conversing with a lady.
Struggling to maintain an expression of polite indifference, Cassie covers her burning face and swiftly exits the room.
Just flirting away. Oh, they're gonna make me go back. I don't know where the fuck I am. I'm assuming that was you, Pete. And it was. I tried not to show you that I had seen it, but here we are. Okay.
Permission to report, Lord Captain. Members of a sacred cult operating aboard this ship have requested an audience. They wish to present gifts and introduce themselves to their new captain.
What sacred cult?
They call themselves the Bloodspun Web. The cult defends the flagship from both internal and external threats. Lady Theodora held them in high regard, and looked favorably upon their activities.
I'm ready to receive them.
I will commence preparations at once, Lord Captain.
God, I can't go 7 feet without getting, like, requested to do all this shit, man. You did, Arcane.
Those on the deck watch in awe as the final figure moves gracefully into a ceremonial pose. Some of the officers whisper in excitement, while others murmur prayers to the God Emperor.
The Undying Emperor commanded us to spin a web of blood around his children, and we obeyed.
That I
We
did like
obeyed
one
still.
squat with.
Domin von Valancius, death has whispered your name. We disown Domin Theodora. We renounce our oath to her.
Okay.
And now we give the gift of our blood to you. It is the gift of death. Death has whispered your name. The followers of the tenets of the web swear fealty to their new overlord and offer proof of their devotion. We give you a blade, the silent verdict. The Undying One has chosen you to wield this instrument of death. We give you one of our own, Kibella. She will be your shield and shadow. And we give you the blood of these traitors. The tenets of the web will purify their souls.
You have heard many stories about death cults such as this one. These devoted, holy assassins of the Imperium have turned death into a form of worship of the Emperor. They are exemplary slayers, invisible executioners, and the scourge of traitors, heretics, and fallen souls. Many righteous people honor them as votaries of the faith, while others see their fearsome rituals as frenzied spectacles touched by madness. The cultists are all void-born. Their lithe, sinewy bodies are clad in light armor, which allows them to move with an acrobat's nimble grace and strike with an assassin's swift shorty. Their red and black vestments are adorned with sharp spikes and ritual jewelry. Where time and training have worn their garments threadbare, you can make out patterns of bleeding lace rations. The prisoners cower beneath the weight of your gaze. Blood drips down the tear-stained faces of the captured officers, technomads, and workers. A word has been carved into each of their foreheads with meticulous precision: traitor, heretic, apostate, renegade. The cuts have been diligently and regularly reopened to prevent healing.
These renegades committed treachery against their domin. Their lips once praised the name of
They seem like real guys you want to party with.
But it is your name they will whisper as they cross over to the other side.
Interesting. So, a death cult watches over my crew. They who honor the Emperor through killing, who devote their every deed to serving him. Sacred executioners.
The Domin has discerned our essence. This is a great honor for the blood-spun web. We have woven the bays of this ship together with the threads of our faith for many years. We keep the greatest relic, his tarot, through which he sends us his blessed revelations. We obey the whispers of the Undying One. This is our service to him.
She kind of speaks like a snake.
This is our service to you.
Your heart is filled with awe as you gaze at the cultists. You recognize this feeling. You have experienced it before, when you walked through the scorching flame and survived. The eyes of your grim guests burn bright with sacrificial fervor. They serve the God Emperor with wholehearted faith and devotion.
What exactly does a cult like the Bloodspun Web do?
The tenets of the web teach us to read the threads of the future and understand the hearts of others. When a soul is filled with the poison of corruption, we know its time has come. We bring liberation. 3 strikes, 3 rebukes, 1 blade. This is how we serve the Undying One. This is how we serve you and your flagship. But there are others, the virtuous martyrs who contravene his design without realizing it. Those who have come too close to faltering or committing an apostasy, but have not erred yet. We present such souls to the Undying One.
You mentioned the tenets of the web. What are they?
Our laws and teachings, our philosophy and way of life, our art of combat and spiritual dogma. The tenets are the blood-spun web itself. Humanity owes its existence to the Undying Emperor's sacrifice. It is he who protects us from a darkness of terrors. Hence, each of us has a duty to serve him, and a duty to die for him. To act otherwise is to waste the life that has been given to us by the Undying One, to become a thief. We help others understand this. We help them to live and die righteously.
You have my blessing. May your blades bring swift death to the Emperor's enemies.
The blood-spun web will not forget your words, Domin. They are the wisdom of the tenets and the benediction of our duty.
Tell me about yourself, Kibbalah. Are you the leader of the Bloodspun Web, or its herald, or its servant?
I am the second spinner of the blood-spun web. The honor of this title is bestowed only upon those who have ushered more souls than... It is shameful to speak of one's own deeds. I'm here to become your shadow, not to make boasts.
Nods towards the captives. Why have you brought this rabble to the upper decks?
So you may offer the souls of these traitors as a gift to him. You have the authority to order their execution. Their blood will bind us together through him. For the God Emperor, the Undying One, is death itself. The Undying One is duty itself. Give the order, Domin. Let a spinner of the blood-spun web undergo the test of a sacred trial.
Okay, Pete, have fun, buddy. Give the weapons to the traders. Time for Kebla to prove herself.
A dagger that has not sliced through sinew is nothing more than a toy. Let the final dance begin.
Oh, you guys are fucked.
Your Emperor won't save you!
I will be your end.
The Masters demand your...
Kibella has a remarkable background. As a death cult assassin, she can use a special ability called Raining Blood. When used, it causes the target of Kibella's next melee attack to explode in a burst of blood, covering the floor and any enemies behind the target. The affected enemies suffer additional damage. Kibella can also use a special throwable consumable item called a blood phial to spill even more blood on the battlefield. Kibella is a blade dancer. Blade dancers are incredibly skilled sword fighters who can devastate enemies using two special attacks, Blade Dance and Death from Above. The Blade Dance ability allows the Blade Dancer to make several light strikes against random adjacent targets. If there is only one adjacent target, all the strikes are directed against that target. If two swords are equipped, the Blade Dancer deals significantly more strikes. Death from Above allows the Blade Dancer to swiftly leap to a selected cell and, upon landing, deal damage to all adjacent targets. This ability can be used multiple times per turn, but each use requires a charge to be spent. The Blade Dancer gains charges by killing their enemies. The Blade Dancer's main characteristics are weapon skill, agility, and strength. Weapon skill enhances their melee attacks and defense in close combat. Agility increases their dodge chance and makes their abilities more efficient, for example, increasing the number of strikes made with Blade Dance. Strength increases their damage dealt with swords. Note, most of the Blade Dancer's abilities can only be used with a sword equipped. Some abilities, available through progression, cost wounds instead of AP.
No. As honor ordained, death is a blessing. Trust me, Count. The other side awaits.
Wow. She's fucking badass.
Welcome his embrace. As honor ordained, death is a blessing. Killing brings me no pleasure. This goes against the tenets. The shadows see it done. I would that I could. I shall not fail. Death is a blessing.
Oh!
Come, the other side awaits.
I love her.
A cut to the heart, a cut to the throat, a cut to the stomach. These wounds have been inflicted according to his pleasure. The blood of the apostates will wash away the stain of their treachery, so that their souls may prostrate themselves before the Undying One's throne and beg his forgiveness. Kibella wipes the blood from her blade in one swift movement. I have acted with reverence and shown proof of my loyalty. Will you accept me, Dominator? Will you make me your shield and shadow? Your lordship, the spinners of the blood-spun web were watching, tracking, and killing von Valencia's enemies long before the warrant of trade passed to Lady Theodora. However, their blade has also been known to cut short the lives of highly upstanding persons. The factotum swallows nervously, casting a fleeting glance at Kibella, but I certainly do not in any way condemn the deeds of the deeply esteemed cult. I am sure they must have had good reason.
I like her way more than you, fat boy.
A stern-looking woman clears her throat. The cultists are the scourge of the sea dishes. They bring the unrighteous to ruin. The enforcers respect the blood-spun web, for we share a common goal, to bring his light and his harsh justice to the darkest depths of this ship. Scourge of the Seditious or not, folk are afraid of them for a reason. A couple of watches ago, these spinners took a train driver to pieces for some kind of ritual. I don't know what old Malak did to earn that privilege, though. And who's going to feed his family now? Heinrich takes a drag on his low stick, exhaling the thick smoke through his clenched teeth. But that's a lower decker problem. What matters is that the blood-spun web serves you faithfully, Lord Captain. A plump old man in the rich robes of a confessor adds respectfully, my predecessor's predecessor once delivered a sermon about how the spinners saved this vessel from the servant of the archenemy. The blood-spun web paid the price in blood, a river of scarlet that flooded the decks from bridge to bilge. They became the blood of the flagship, the pulse in its veins, and the beat of its heart. Their great sacrifice earned them the favor of House von Valancius. Kibella's movements are slow, almost rhythmic, as she removes her ceremonial mask. The dark shadows of her eyes accentuate the deathly pallor of her skin, which is covered in ritual scars. Henceforth, I am your shadow, Dominator von Valancius, an instrument of death placed in your hand by the Undying One. For so it was ordained, and so his tarot forespoke. The young woman bores her head once more. I also come bearing an invitation from the Vizier of the Bloodspun Web. He wishes you to know that the doors to the Undying One's temple are open to you. Are you suggesting the Lord Captain should go down into the depths of his flagship to search for this temple? With all due respect, the lower decks are for servants and crew. They are not a fitting place for his lordship.
Where is your temple located?
I am not permitted to say. If you wish to find the temple, you must walk the path of Saint Arian, the matriarch spider. Hers was the thread that would become the blood-spun web. Her path began deep within the flagship, in the dark tunnels of the freight line, and that is where yours must begin as well. This journey will bring closer to the thread of the web, closer to the Undying One, closer to understanding death.
I will walk in the footsteps of the matriarch spider.
Your journey will begin in the darkness of the deepest tunnels. The Vizier awaits you. The cultists retreat into the shadows as Kibella sheaths her ceremonial dagger. Your blade awaits direction, Dominator. We will speak again when the time is right.
Oh shit, I didn't know that was gonna be right now. Oh fuck, am I in trouble? Oh poopies. I hope that wasn't a bad idea. Yep, Berserker, but there's way too much text in this for me to play it without someone reading all this stuff. How you doing, buddy? Would you like to making fuck Berserker?
The Rogue Trader's ship is a veritable city sailing through the void. The ship has numerous compartments that you can visit. Navigate these compartments using the map of the ship, which you can access from the main elevator on the bridge or from any compartment.
Yeah, it's a mod that lets you use this text to speech. Yeah. Where do I have to go? Is it here? The chapel? No. Is it this? True? Is it the chapel? Am I too okay? I don't know what. Oh, the freight line. Okay. Are there levels to say how if I'm high enough level to do this stuff? So you're saying that how would I know if it's too high of a level? Or should I not do this yet? I guess that's true, Pug.
Freight line.
Okay, let's go to the freight line then. How many? Is it 6 party members? Well, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go pee again. All the water from workouts. I'll be right. Do you know how to reach the temple of the blood-spun web?
I'm sorry, Lord Captain, I do not. No one knows. The cultists are too adept at hiding and keeping their secrets, and it worries me that you might have to walk around the entire compartment looking for the temple.
Why are you worried? Is there a problem in this compartment?
The lower decks are not suitable for someone of your status, and it's not just the grime or the crowds of brutish laborers. I suspect that the entrance to the Temple of Death is hidden in some dark corner where you might encounter criminals or contagious outcasts. With the kind of riffraff that dwells there, you might even be attacked. Cassir shivers. Such ghastly places you describe. We are not headed there, are we, Lord Captain? He frowns. To put it bluntly, although the bay performs its functions well, even its more civilized sections are sorely lacking in discipline. I was only assigned recently, so I haven't had time to straighten everything up, since doing so will require making some serious changes. I am not inventing excuses, Lord Captain. As the officer in charge, I accept full responsibility for what takes place in this compartment.
Rejoice.
But Frenzo stops himself mid-protest and assumes a more compliant tone. In that case, I urge you to remain vigilant. The freight trains move at great speeds, and the inhabitants of the residential units are despicable rabble. One must never drop one's guard around them. An emperor preserve you from stumbling into the pestilence pit. That's where the madmen and the lepers live. That is correct. The enforcers do not bar them from carrying out their sacred duties. He scowls. As irregular as it is to have armed crew members set up a secret hideout forbidden to the enforcers, and that they can go around dispensing bloody justice.
What do you know about the death cultists?
Not much, but I'm always trying to learn more, given that they like to pay visits to my compartment. Frenzo scratches his head, thinking. The spinners honor the emperor through death. They kill notorious reprobates and heretics. Sometimes they kill righteous folk, and other times even seemingly at random. Their rituals are morbid and their prayers are strange. Anyone not initiated in their rites would struggle to make any sense of them.
Do you not take issue with death cultists killing people on your territory?
Frenzo avoids looking at Kibela. I do, Lord Captain, but the cult is authorized to exist on the ship, which means their activities down here are not to be interfered with.
I see.
The captain grumbles sullenly under his breath.
Be steadfast in your duty, Captain Frenzo.
The Emperor protects, Lord Captain.
Okay. Let's go clear out the heretics and shit.
Is there money to be made?
Oh, we need to level her up. Okay. Upon using, okay. Let's do that. We want weapon skill. Can I do this? And then we're going to do awareness. Okay.
A statue to Magus Ionius 9, architect of Freight Hub LD 987/A14.
Is that blood? It can't be. We scrubbed the deck 3 times before the rogue trader came. Void, take me. The captain will have our heads.
Is this the welcome you give the rogue trader? Abelard's nostrils flare in anger. Whoever had the audacity to leave behind this appalling symbol, I will see to it that the Master-at-Arms calls them to account herself. The corner of the captain's mouth twitches nervously as he mutters, damn those, how did they even? You have seen this sort of symbol before. Death cultists carve bleeding marks like this into their own skin. Kibella carves the same symbol on the back of her hand with a knife and whispers a prayer. Dominagida, remember this sign. It is the beginning of your quest, the first blood trail.
Do you know what this mark is?
It resembles one of the symbols associated with the blood-spun web. What was it called again? The Song of Trailing Blood, I think. It's a prayer familiar to many in this compartment. We've heard spinners say it when they, well, perform their signature acts of service to the Emperor. Frenzo takes a deep breath. The soundless shadow sank into the dark. Slashed feet crescendo, a fatal dance. Blade song in tempo, each edge an echo. Twin odes to death throes. Now on her sacred blood, as she once trod the backs of foes. Tread countless souls, but none who know.
What is the Song of Trailing Blood?
From what I can tell, it's something like a prayer with several verses that tell about the life of one of the cult saints, Arian, or the matriarch Spider, as they call her.
You memorized the verse, why?
When I took up my post here, I made sure to familiarize myself with all the particular qualities of this compartment. I soon heard about the verse and decided to investigate. I questioned a number of people who follow the blood-spun web as I was trying to figure out if there was anything pernicious about it, and eventually I learned the whole thing. He frowns. The words are certainly strange, but it's nothing worse than that, it seems.
So I am invited to follow a trail of blood, it seems. I accept the spinner's invitation.
I hope you find what you're looking for and return to the upper deck safely, Lord Captain.
I mean, that would be helpful.
Keep your wits about you.
What happened? I went into my own ship and I died. Go this way.
Do we truly have to be
there's
here? I am not even sure what is making me more nauseous, these horrid colors, or the smell. The longer you stare at the mark, the quieter the sounds of the station become. The shadows grow longer and seem to stretch in the direction of the adjacent section.
Dude, I don't even think I've gotten an achievement in this game yet. Which is fucking hysterical. There's
Rise
another
to
one.
the top, or get left in the dust.
Mercy, please, save me. The young man gasps for air through burnt lips, slipping in and out of delirium. His skin is dripping from his gaunt body like melted wax from a candle. His eyes, somehow intact, alive, clear, and filled with pain, stare at you from under his caked eyelids.
Who are you and what happened to you?
I'm Vale, a cleaner. I was in my house, asleep. Enforcers came, set fire to it. I didn't make it out in time.
What the hell is this NVIDIA app thing? What are you talking about?
I wonder how long he's been sitting here like this. A watch. 3. The whispers say nobody cared because he didn't matter, but they also say he's somehow supposed to matter to us. Strange. He tries to turn his head, his blackened skin crunching as it opens into scarlet cracks. A spinner came. He painted the symbol. Then he gave me water and whispered a strange verse. He told me to memorize it and to recite it later, so that help would come. And here you are, then I should. He begins to whisper, his lips twisted in pain. To soot-smirched soul, her mercy she did grant. Last breath expressed, knife met heart. Removed from chest, passed on to death. Her duty blessed, a balm for those who suffer anguish and distress. A longing brought to rest, of mortal bonds the soul divest.
Medicaid. Assess the man's chances of survival.
He might survive, but he will be maimed for life. Too much of his muscle has been charred down to the bone. Even if he does retain some ability to move, pain will be his constant companion. His motor skills have been damaged beyond repair. A broken man or a corpse, time will soon tell. There are times when death is more merciful than a life of perpetual agony.
Dogmatic. End the man's life. I grant you a merciful death.
No, mercy. Horror flashes in the man's eyes, but once he sees your calm expression, he lets go of the fear and bores his head in resignation. So be it. I can't take this pain anymore. I'd rather die. There is no curse more terrible than an existence between a life and undeath. You have liberated a tormented soul, Dominator. The Undying One sees the good you have wrought.
See? I'm like... I do things for the Emperor. Okay. Doesn't it? Or is it pointing this way? It's pointing this way.
I always have a backup plan.
Maybe it's not down here. Is it in here? No. That, yep. Okay.
A sinewy middle-aged man watches the bustle of the bay with a detached expression. Every so often, whenever his eyes linger on the blood mark inscribed nearby, his face changes strangely and his hands clench into fists. Just as you begin to hear the rumble of an approaching train, the man's gaze turns toward the tracks. He leans forward.
Observe silently.
The man freezes a step away from oblivion, listens, then recoils and goes still once more.
What do you think you are doing?
What? I didn't. The man starts and almost falls, but manages to keep his balance. In the dim lumen light, you notice old scars scattered all across his body. The scars seem vaguely familiar.
Lord Imperium, look at the man's scars.
The scars all vary in length, width, depth, and shape. However, you notice a pattern in the way the scars are aligned, as well as a series of faded symbols on the man's rough skin. Death cultists bear similar marks on their bodies. But spinners are constantly renewing their wounds, while this man's look long since healed.
Your eyes always return to that blood symbol. What do you know about it?
It's a symbol of the blood-spun web. I come here every watch, but it hasn't been here before now. I guess today must be a special day. He smiles strangely. The man's faded eyes go wide as he notices Kibella. His voice quivers. Have you come to take me to the other side? Kibella briefly studies the man's face, then turns away. I do not know you. Death's gaze is not upon you. The man lets out a dull groan and turns to look at the symbol again. But then why is it here?
You know the symbols of the blood-spun web. You bear similar scars. Are you a spinner?
I was, but I failed to complete my final assignment, so I was exiled from the cult. The Vizier told me to kill the one who would be at a certain junction of the utility tunnels at a certain hour. I went to the appointed spot, then I waited. An hour, 2, 5. The junction was still empty. Nobody came. After hours of waiting, I finally realized the person at the junction had been me the whole time. It was my turn to go to the Undying One, but I was afraid. I couldn't do my duty. I ran.
So the spinners simply let you go? They made no attempts to find you and kill you?
There was no pursuit. I thought I'd see their black blades the very next day. Instead, years passed without them taking my heart. I tried starting a new life, but the terror never stopped eating away at me. When I got truly desperate, I went to the Temple of Death myself, but no one there would speak to me. When I gave them my name, they just whispered, "Sibred has gone to the Undying One." They looked through me like I wasn't even there. I've lived like this for 20 years. Like a coward. Like a dead man.
You were ordered to die? For what reason?
The man looks at you, but some would choose to lead the righteous path. These earn penance in due time. Her wit sings vengeance on renegade menace. Her blades pass sentence. 4 cowards seek to hide their hearts. But death makes no pretenders. It takes what it is due in essence. He stops, then adds hoarsely, the third verse of the Song of Trailing Blood. The Vizier recited it to me before sending me on my final assignment. I didn't realize at the time that it was my judgment. There were plenty of reasons. I sowed death. I offered him the souls of the most pleasing men and women I could find because it kindled my passions. I killed well-off crewmen who didn't deserve their wealth, and I took their thrones. I killed enforcers who looked into my eyes without fear, because I wanted to be feared. I reveled in bloodshed. I betrayed the tenets. I realized it, but I couldn't help it, because I enjoyed it. Oh, you poor thing, I think I'm gonna cry. You couldn't stop slicing people up. That must have been so hard for you. Even my whispers have nothing to say to a pathetic tale like that. I bet they are thinking, what a lousy, self-absorbed sack of scum.
I will not judge you, nor I will decide your fate. Farewell.
No, what about the symbol, the portent? You were supposed to... The man's tired eyes fill with horror that quickly turns into hysteria. His knees buckle, and he staggers heavily before falling onto the tracks with a pitiful cry. No, help. Kibella stares at the remains of he who was once her brother in service. Truly, it is better to die for him than to live for yourself. This, he forgot.
Rush not dawdle.
How do I jump down there? No. No, I have to follow the... I have to follow this and go that way.
Always keep your eye on the prize.
Nothing escapes my sight.
How many times do I need to tell you ungrateful maggots? Mistakes must be paid for. Have mercy in the throne's name, I beg you.
The battered worker
Have a
throws
good one,
himself
True.
at your feet and touches the toe of your boot with his dirty palms. Your gracious lordship, hand of the God Emperor, save your unworthy servant. Get lost. The enforcer's heavy baton pummels the man's back and shoulders several times. His bones crack audibly. The sound of breaking bones, the man's cries, and the enforcer's hateful laughter remind you of what you went through yourself, too vividly, and too painfully. My sincerest apologies, Lord Captain. Your boot... I'll clean it right away. A murmur of discontent breaks out among the Gawkers who have gathered around. None of the other workers dare come closer, but the anger on their faces is plain to see.
I have no time for this.
The terrified man glances furtively at the enforcer, who is grinning. Low, insistent dissent begins to rise in the crowd, only to die back down as soon as the enforcers brandish their batons. The murmurs immediately turn into pleas for mercy. A sullen, red-bearded man with keen black eyes draws your attention. His oddly piercing gaze
What's
seemed
up,
to
Rage?
size
How you
you up
doing,
the
buddy?
whole time you were speaking, but now he has hastened to conceal himself behind the Gawkers. The next thing you know, you are watching him hurry deeper into the tunnels. The enforcer hisses at the worker vindictively. Oh yes, 12. This time I'm gonna break 13 of your fingers and ribs, as a lesson to your slimy accomplices.
Good, man. What are these goods? Yep, Rage. There's a plugin. It's a mod. I couldn't stream this without it. Where the fuck? I'm so lost right now. I'm doing good, man. It's been a lazy day. I mean, I was at work all day, whatever, but...
Is there money to be made?
Compared to naval service, that was barely a challenge.
And Zelda is a poodle, being a poodle, doing poodle things. Punching people. You know. Completing poodle actions. It's Colorado, man. It's like we're cold and hot, cold and hot.
Open.
Oh yeah, she loves the snow, man. She's just like runs around, eats it, and just runs around like a crazy dog. She wants me to chase her, and I'm like, bitch, I'm not going outside. I can't track in that snow like you can. Silly poodle. Glurp, glurp, motherfucker. Glurp, glurp. She loves it, though. That'd be great, Rage. I have my Great Dane tattooed on my ribs. That I lost to epilepsy. It was not fun. He didn't even make it to 5. He was the coolest dog in the world, though. He was a tiny Great Dane. He only weighed 90 pounds. Well, they're marked somewhere.
Hi-all.
Dude, this fucking ship is confusing. Oh, there we go. Dude, that is the worst,
Keep your
dude.
wits about you.
Yeah, Zelda's barely 50 pounds.
Attention to detail is
Oh.
the key to success.
No, I stopped. The fuck?
Lord Captain, this is where the sick and the broken are herded to die of their various diseases. Don't touch anything. The stench of decaying bodies creeps into your throat
Yeah.
and lungs, forming a sticky film lining your airways.
Dude, it's funny how much bigger than her that the Trick is. You know, Trick is significantly bigger than Zelda. I don't think he weighs all that much
Rise to
more
the
than her,
top,
but
or get left in the